I'm Tom, and I'm here with my Starbucks Flat White. And a lot of people don't know about the Flat White. It's actually one of my favorite drinks to get at Starbucks. And the first question people often ask is, what is a Flat White? And what does that actually mean? It sounds kind of classy. It's a really delicious drink. And the difference is it's sort of like a latte. It's made with steamed milk and espresso. In this case, it's 2 shots of their Ristretto espresso in here. But instead of a latte where you have steamed milk mixed in and you have this kind of big layer of foam on top, in a Flat White, you do have the steamed milk mixed in, but there's, as the name implies, a very thin, flat layer of microfoam on top. So it's just that sort of creamiest bit of milk foam on top, not this big sort of dollop like you would get mixed in with a latte. So that's the difference if you're looking at a Flat White versus a latte. It's going to be a bit less milk, thinner top layer on there, which makes sense why, flat on top. And it's going to be that creamier layer. Now at Starbucks, they actually make this with whole milk, which is what I love to get. This is a tall one with whole milk. And that, again, gives it that extra level of creaminess. Now, if you get a Flat White versus a latte, a lot of people think, which one is going to be better for you. And what usually people mean by that is which one is going to be, less caloric or have less fat in it. It's debatable, how those things ultimately line up. But if you're looking for the lower calorie drink for the size, the Flat White, because it does have less of that whole milk, is going to have fewer calories than the corresponding tall latte at Starbucks. But, the thing that I think is best about it ultimately is the taste. I really like that it's super creamy. It has that thin layer of microfoam, so it just has this kind of extra level of creaminess, and it's not as milky of a drink. It's also very similar to a latte macchiato. The difference between a Flat White versus a macchiato is that with the macchiato, you've got a bit less espresso, and there's still that steamed milk layer on top that's thicker, and they actually pour the shot in over the espresso. The macchiato refers to the fact, or over the milk rather, refers to the fact that you get this little dot in the middle from the espresso pouring through that milk. So here it's got that beautiful kind of layer on top of that that microfoam. And again, as you sip this drink, you get that kind of creamy latte-like espresso, but it's sort of filtered through that thin, flat, white layer of microfoam on top, and it just gives it, again, that extra level of creaminess. Now, people also wonder, is this sweet? Is a Flat White sweet? And the answer is yes and no, because, again, it has that nice sort of thin layer of that steamed milk. You get more of the sweetness of the whole milk, and I think that gives it almost like a little bit of a sweet flavor, because milk does have a fair amount of sugar in it. So if you do get it the way that they recommend, which is with the whole milk, then you're going to get the sweetness of the milk, but it's not otherwise sweetened. So it's not like a Frappuccino where they're going to put a lot of sugar or syrup into it. It's literally just the milk and the 2 shots of Ristretto espresso in this case. So yes, better, stronger natural sweetness than just a latte or a macchiato. But it doesn't have additional sweetener. Now, you can always opt to add sweetener to it, but I think it's perfect without that on there, because again, you get just that nice natural sweetness built in. Other things people wonder about this drink, does it have more or less caffeine than a latte? And the answer is that it uses the same 2 shots of Ristretto. It's just the proportion and the style of milk that's different. So it's going to have the same level of caffeine as a latte that you would get at Starbucks. So you're not getting a more or less caffeinated drink here with the Flat White. And you can order this at pretty much any Starbucks. It's a very standard drink at this point. It's something that people in other countries have had for a while, but Starbucks introduced relatively late versus the macchiatos and the lattes. Again, it's just super creamy, delicious. It's got that natural sweetness. You get that nice kind of sip of microfoam in each sip of the drink that you're taking. Really one of my favorite Starbucks drinks overall, the Flat White from Starbucks.